Luna, welcome.
Thank you. Yes, Sandy.
I'm so excited to sit down with you.
Thank you.
You are like one of my most favorite people in the industry right now.
No
so I
way.
was so happy that you were excited to sit down with me.
Absolutely.
Luna, you've launched your own business in January, and you've quickly become one of the most talked about success stories in our industry because you have nearly almost $100,000 saved in your bank account.
Yeah.
Which is insane.
Yes.
When you think about most businesses in the country, they typically take 2 to 3 years to make their first dollar. And here you are, and you're killing it, and you've done really well for yourself. So congratulations.
Thank you so much. Yeah, absolutely. Thank you.
What you had to do and what you've done and the resilience that you've had to build your business to this point, everybody wants to hear about. But before we get into that, I want to go back to when you first answered an ad to do door-to-door sales. What were you doing before that, and how did you get to a point where you started going door-to-door or business-to-business?
Yeah, absolutely. So when I first started in the industry, I applied on a job like everybody else, right? Applied to an ad, and what brought me to San Diego, I'm initially from the Bay Area, so I actually had to move locations for school. I started off at UCSD to finish my bachelor's in political science and gender studies, so I double majored in there. Had the aspiration to do law school, but quickly did a 180s flip because I had the mindset of, working a little bit more just because I wanted more job experience before I took on another couple of years of more years of schooling, right? So I wanted to really figure out whether or not I wanted to travel and, spend more money or make more money. So I was like, okay, I wanted to do more job experience and job hunting, and that led me on to meeting Van. And so with that said, I applied there.
Van is the ICD owner whose company you applied to?
Correct. Yes. So Van being a national consultant, which I had no idea at the time. But after applying there, it was for a ad for, I think, marketing and sales, and just to get more experience for entry level. So it was entry level sales and marketing, which I was inclined to do just to strengthen my resume, have more skill sets in my belt, and then go from there. But yeah, that's where I started.
That's cool. And did you have any sales experience prior, or?
Yeah, absolutely not. I actually had no sales experience prior. I had no marketing experience at all. My background before was just really being in school. So I mostly just, worked that school life, went to a 4-year institute, really just put my head down and did essays and stuff like that, your casual student. But yeah, before then, my job experience, even just before school or just dabbling in the work industry, was actually being a teacher's assistant. So I actually worked a lot in terms of teaching, working with kids.
That's cool. And so you weren't deterred, obviously, when you found out, okay, this is face-to-face sales. You looked at it as a resume builder, something to sort of build your skill sets in. Were you pretty good at it when you first started?
When I first started, I was just for my first week or so, just learning about the industry and learning about the company itself. I really understood that it is very face forward and very heavily in direct marketing. And I had no job experience in marketing at all. So marketing could be super subjective to me. But after learning and getting more intel on the company and what we did and what we worked with such a huge company like Verizon at the time, I understand the reason why we did what we did, right? I really just wanted to learn. So that was my biggest thing first.
And were you making decent money when you were a sales rep?
Yes, I was doing well. I was producing well enough, and I understand exactly what it was. So I was more learning the product knowledge of things first, and then I got into actually becoming really good at sales and understanding the concepts of sales and more of the mentality and principle of sales for sure as I move forward.
And so you started doing the sales, and it wasn't long before you started your own company, right? How many months was it before you decided to take a shot on yourself and open up your own business?
Yeah, so in the beginning, I was very just still learning, and I think I didn't have a lot of a managerial bone in me yet. So I still had to learn more and network more. So I actually networked with more people. So I actually realized what is the bigger picture. So I had to learn what the bigger picture is, because in my eyes, I only saw sales and marketing. The growth factor was something that actually I got to sink my teeth into. And so with that said, I then realized that it was more about the opportunity that I could give myself. So then it's what could I do if I did this? What could I do if I ran my own company? So that's when it clicked in.
That's great. I was always told that you've always been a really aggressive student.
Very much so.
Cool. So you're doing the sales and marketing, and then you're let me network with other people. You're meeting all these other business owners, and I'm sure there was a point that you're all right, some of these people, like, you're sharp. Like, I get why you're a business owner.
Yeah.
But I'm sure there are others that you're like, well, if you can do it, then
I can do it.
I can do it
exactly.
too. And I find it incredible that you really sought out these people on your own. And I think to get anywhere in business in general, it's like networking and reaching out to people on your own is so crucial.
Absolutely, yeah. And I took advantage of the diversity. With more diversity, you see so many people from different forms of background everywhere. I saw that anybody could have the potential if they had the right tools, with the right networking, with the right mentors, and with the right strategy in play. Anybody can run a business.
Anybody can do it, yeah. So are there any entrepreneurs in your family or?
I had an aunt who owned their own restaurant, but that was very short-lived in terms of it was back in Hong Kong. And then when they moved to the States, they were all employees. So technically I'm the only one right now.
That's incredible. What did they think about your entrepreneurial endeavors in sales?
So my parents were very against me being an entrepreneur because of all the risks associated with entrepreneurship, right? Like whether it's losing money or whether it's, whether it's like time invested in the self where there's no work-life balance, and stuff like that. It's just, they saw more of the negatives and the positives of what you can reap from the benefits of being an entrepreneur. I think everyone in life wants to be an entrepreneur, but not everyone has the tools to do so. And that's why I love and am so invested in this type of role that I play now. Not only did I prove my parents wrong, but I also showed them what I'm capable of. So I think just making them proud was a bigger aspiration that I wanted to do myself, despite the obstacles they had for me and despite their warnings. I wanted to take a risk and a gamble on myself because I knew to the core what I could do, right? And I know that like a lot of the times your parents have this vision for yourself, right? So when parents have this vision for their daughter and their only daughter to go to school at a 4-year like public-private institution, university of some sort, get a law degree and then work a 9-to-5 and be in a cubicle. That wasn't really exciting to me. I wanted to work with people. So my biggest thing was, okay, what role could have me elevate people, grow people, and also grow myself as a person, as a woman, and as an entrepreneur. So I had to hit all of these check marks myself or I wouldn't be fulfilled. I just think fulfillment or lack of purpose is what really drives an entrepreneur. It's really hard to actually drive others when you're not driving yourself.
Go through the challenges. And all that.
Exactly.
And to your parents' defense and my parents and a lot of parents of people in this industry, life was very different back then. I mean, you could get a job somewhere and spend the next 40 years at these big companies like IBM and Microsoft and Apple and Meta.
Google,
Yeah, but like nowadays, I mean, they lay off thousands and thousands of people every single month.
Yeah, it's scary.
You could buy a house, 20, 30 years ago and stay in that same house and afford the mortgage. Now it's like you need to make a lot of money.
Absolutely.
And, to have just a regular single income job that hopefully keeps you around for a long time is very rare nowadays. And so I feel like our industry has become even more special because of that, because there is opportunity to learn the sales, learn how to manage teams, and start your own company. I mean, the clients want us to do that.
Exactly.
And so what I do love about your story and your parents' story is that recently your father was like at one of our regional meetings.
Exactly.
And tell us about that and what he was doing. And
yeah, it was amazing actually. It was the Northern California regional meeting that happened. I was a key speaker and a keynote speaker there. I went up twice to speak, but they invited my dad and asked myself to ask my dad to be invited on stage. And it was a whole thing because I was nervous. I was like, I don't know if he's going to be inclined to do this. Like, he's the one against me doing that. So it's like all of these things. It's, it's really just great to see how inspirational I can be for the family as well now, right? And really opening their eyes. So now that they actually got to go to one, it was really insightful for me, but it was such an honor and just privilege because seeing my dad go on stage with me, alongside me on that couch was so monumental. I almost broke down and cried. It was funny, but it was amazing because just hearing my dad speak, and he is also a phenomenal public speaker.
Yeah.
I think I catch it from him, to be honest. But with my dad, he was very much worried about me from the get-go. So seeing him be on stage with that relief,
yes,
with the relief, seeing Van and seeing the person who raised me on that stage together with me in the middle is just like an eye-opener, right? And it's amazing because not only after the conference, after we all spoke and everything was over, a lot of people had networked with me, like, your dad was the best speaker on that call. Yeah, your dad
amazing.
was like the best keynote speaker on that in that event, because they could see the anxiety that comes through entrepreneurship, but seeing someone who actually proved their family wrong and then can change the whole generation, like after, it's like, I'm your next generation.
Game changer.
It's game changer.
That's so
exactly.
cool. Is there anything that your dad said to you that touched your heart afterwards or anything?
Absolutely. It's just when a parent says, like, to a child, I'm proud of you, it hits very different.
Yes.
Like, from a mentor's perspective, like, that's amazing. Hearing a mentor say that is one thing, but hearing a parental say that is like monumental for any daughter or son.
I'm sure your entire family is so proud of you.
Thank you. Yeah, I'm super excited for it.
That's awesome. So let's go back to, you started your own company, you opened it up, and you had pretty quick success. And that's not, that's pretty unusual in our industry. Typically, people don't move as quickly as you did. What do you credit a lot of that success to?
Yeah, I think, a lot of people say, like, wow, you're moving so fast and all of this praise. And it is, I didn't feel like I was doing the best.
Yes.
I never saw myself doing the best as something like that, because I was just being myself and just learning from what I was taught. So I just only just copied and pasted everything, but I didn't, compare myself to other people. But what I really credit it to is my organization. Like, I really took a look at the mirror and reflected on what I'm good at. So what am I good at? Organization, systems, and communication, right? If I'm good at these three things, why not hone on to those things that are my strong suits, right? And then focus on the weaknesses and shortcomings along the way, right? And so when I use my strengths, it actually helped propel my business to go with my strengths as I'm running it, right? And that's what really drove me at such an early stage of my, business. And so with that and the right people that are supporting you, that really grows the business for sure.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
And I think what's important is for people to also understand that, a few months ago, you and I were texting, and I remember you shared that you were frustrated, you were overwhelmed, and you're like, there's so much going on. And I think that's so important for people to see and hear, because I think they hear your name all the time, right? And they think, wow, this girl's just living this perfect life, her business is thriving. But I think it's important to know that you also have gone through a lot of challenges and on a daily basis as well. It's still not easy, even though you're making it look easy. I think it's important for people to hear that you deal with the same challenges that everybody else is dealing with as well.
Absolutely. And I think it's the most real thing is to really share what people struggle with, because nobody's perfect, right? So, my struggles actually where, making sure respect is a big thing, for me, right? I think for my business, being someone of such a young age and already, killing it and, really doing well, it does also have a lot of anxiety that's built up, because what if you fail? It's constantly what ifs, right? Because you never know the unknown. And because of the lack of the unknown, you sometimes have to doubt yourself. You have to correct yourself. You have to figure out, is there any negatives? What am I not looking for? Or what am I not seeing? And it's pointing out all the negatives, but that's also what benefited me, is pointing out the negatives early. But I just think that for me, I was very anxious, because I was I can't let my people down. I don't want to be a bad business owner. I don't want to fail. I don't want to be not profitable. I don't want to lose money. All of these things. It could be a laundry list of things, but also getting more responsibility, though it is anxiety driven, but it does propel me, because there's a big philosophy that I've begun to understand now more than ever, is that when it comes to the problems, do you run away from it, or do you go against it and actually go through it, right? Some people, it's the fight or flight mode, right? And a lot of people flee, right? And they give up. or they surrender and pull out the white flag.
Yep.
For me, I really saw it as an opportunity to be better than myself than the day before, right? And for me, it's just like I was so on myself and really anxious because I was beating myself over it and over it and over it, because now with all of these people having eyes on you, it's like your reputation precedes you. Right? Optics are everything.
Expectations are on you now.
Expectations are on me now. So it's very anxious and anxiety drivening, but it's really not letting the mental get to you, right?
Totally.
And it's really keeping that balance of like, okay, give yourself some slack. You are like young, and you are like the reality of things, right? You are young, you are new, but at the same time, I'm like, regardless of everything, I do my best every single day. And if there are shortcomings and if there are negatives that I point out, I'm like right at it. So it's just really on how you take those negatives, because there are so many negatives, whether it's rebuilding a team, losing people on your team, and stuff like that. So it's just, there's a lot of things, but it's really just how you look at the negatives, I would say.
And I think entrepreneurship, period, is really hard. And that's why most people fail at running a successful business. And so I think, the fact that you're such a good student and like you're not scared to reach out and ask people for help, you're gonna have a very long career as an entrepreneur in this industry for sure. And so I think also, the success that you had early on speaks a lot to your ability to really build strong teams.
Absolutely.
And I've met some of your sales employees, and I mean, they're super sharp. And so what are some qualities that you look for when you are hiring people in your business?
Yeah, so when it comes to my hiring process, I personally, as the owner and as the director of operations, I like to get to know my people like right off the bat, right? And I take accountability to that myself by involving myself more into conversations and their growth, right? So two things I really owe my success to is just, like I said earlier, aside from organization, would be the transparency and my communication, right? And then just the growth development and goal setting, right? So when it comes to, I think, conversations, I'm having conversations with everybody, and I want to know everyone's goal, because at the end of the day, you're here because you want an opportunity, and I'm here to grant you that, right? And so if I'm here to grant you that, I wouldn't be doing my job if I didn't know what you are striving for and what really makes you go, right? Because everyone has a motor in that, and everyone has a ammunition towards what they want in life, whether it's financial freedom, freedom in general, family. I call it the 4 Fs, right? Family, fortune, fame, freedom. All of these things play a part to someone's life, especially if they're trying to grow. So I'm always asking, what is your reason why? What makes you keep going, right? So all of these questions are so vital to someone's success, because if there's no direction, it's just chaos. And if there's no direction, you're at a standstill. So when I'm hiring and I'm looking to answer your question, I'm really looking at these conversations as something that moves forward. And if we're not having those progressive conversations, we're at a null, and nobody wants to be at a null. Nobody wants to be stagnant in their life, because that's why they're here, is to develop themselves, whether it's a forward progression and growth or in their career. So,
I love that. So you're really trying to figure out like what drives this person.
Absolutely.
And I think that's such a mistake that a lot of people make, that they talk about their own goals and what they want to accomplish, and they forget to realize that people don't want to retire you, right? People don't want to make you more money. People want to do something for themselves. And so unless you know what that carrot is for them, it's going to be really hard to motivate them. Especially, we're in a tough business. Door-to-door sales is not easy.
Direct marketing in general, absolutely. Entrepreneurship as itself, absolutely.
If I put $1,000 on the line and ask people to go talk to 100 people and be okay with them saying no to their face, everybody would do it. But can you do it every day? Can you do it for weeks at a time? Can you do it for months? Can you do it while teaching other people? That's what makes it tough. And so I love that you touched on like knowing their why, not just knowing your why, is so crucial in that. How do you instill your mentality into your team members?
I think duplication is a huge thing, right? And something I said today, I was like, wow, I should write that down. Was I don't want duplication, I want multiplication, right?
That.
And so when
I write that down for you?
Thank you. So, but yeah, when people say like we got to duplicate the mentality, right? Not just like in sales, but sales will come because sales is a skill set, but mentality is something very different. And I'm the type of person to really emphasize mentality first above all, right? Teaching sales is one thing, but again, mentality is through time because a lot of people are a clock in, clock out mindset. And because they're a clock in, clock out mindset, they're not thinking entrepreneurial right off the bat. There's only a certain, like a couple percentile that it would be like that, right? And myself, granted, I was very employee mindset myself going into this. But for me, I realized that the more selfless you are, that's truly the reason why people see people as such a strong leader, right? With very much developmental skills that is already sharpened, right? But that doesn't come in a blink of a day, right? Something that we say all the time is like, oh, a day in the business feels like a week in the business feels like a month feels like a year. And if you're already in years, you've been here for decades, you know? So it's very much like that growth because we're growing so fast and because we are in such a great position that grows at a very steadfast way. You're growing every day, right? So that's what I really like is engraving like forward momentum. Forward momentum is very important to me.
I can tell you're a really good communicator. And so, I mean, the conversations that you're having with your team members, I'm sure are always really going a long way for you. What is your advice for business owners, sales leaders that want to figure out how to have the right sorts of conversations with their team members to get them on the same page as them?
Yeah, absolutely. So one thing, first and foremost, when it comes to sales and then when it comes to mentality and being a leader, it's very two separate categories. There's one saying that I always say all the time is that people don't like surprises, they like transparency, right? When you're selling a product to a client or where you're selling a product in general, they don't like to hear surprises aftermath that you sold them, right? So they want to know the transparency there and then before they sign the papers, right? And just like, you know, being a business owner, you want the duplication that we're talking about is the transparency on how to grow, right? Speaking about how to grow and the obstacles that come with it would be much more beneficial to the leader that is developing. Because if you're not transparent with the development part of the stage, then they're going to be lost as they go through. And then it takes more time for them to develop. And when they don't see growth off the bat, they start questioning themselves, am I doing the right things, right? But we don't want to have people question themselves when we give all the skill sets, right? It's up to them, but it's up to us as entrepreneurs and as owners to give them the right tools, right? I can only give you the tools, but it is a two-way relationship, right? Always. So I think those two for sure. And then another thing is another book called The 5 Levels of Leadership. And I think,
Maxwell.
By John Maxwell. And I think that this book really enlightened me on the steps and the procedures of how to have that perfect mindset of duplication.
And how to like build the right relationship with somebody.
Absolutely. The first part is actually the position. The position is where they just applied for a job and you were just their boss. And it's as simple as that, very transactional.
And they listen to you simply because you're my boss.
Exactly, on paper, right? Very to the point. The second, level that John C. Maxwell says in his book is permission, right? Permission is very much on the relationship that is built a little bit more past the job itself. And I think that is actually the first step, right? It's really just getting people to like you for who you are as a person.
And like we were saying earlier too, like you're finding out what they like and what drives them, and you're kind of having these conversations with them.
Deeper conversations and definitely getting to know them for sure. The next level of leadership is production. Production is where someone who's new in the office sees you as someone who's super sharp in the office, and what they're doing for the office is what's attaining them. It's like wow factor, right? It's like this person is actually making a difference for the company.
Like this person can take me somewhere.
Exactly. If I stick around with this person is
I'm
going to
go somewhere far.
Exactly. So the next level is people development. So in people development, it's really about that duplication, and really because I helped you along the way, and you have shown results through my coaching. It's really about duplication. And the next and final level, and this is the really biggest level, is the pinnacle level. The pinnacle level is super short and simple, and is also my favorite. It's the you go, I go. Wherever you go, I follow. So I say this one's probably my favorite is because I think about my team in this scenario. So
and
when
these
I
are the people you opened your business with, the employees you had?
They have followed me and seen me grow, and thereby they see that I can grow them from the very beginning as well.
You can continue to coach them, and that, like we said earlier, like if they stick by you,
loyalty and that trust is really what makes the partnership of the industry. And I appreciate that.
I love that you brought that book up, because I think that is one of the best books when it comes to leadership.
Absolutely.
And I think so often people feel like, well, I'm the business owner, so people should just listen to what I have to say. And I've had all this success, and so you should listen to me because I'm really successful. But at the end of the day, people don't care what you know unless they know that you care, right? And so I love that you brought that up, because you really kind of have to take everybody through these stages to get to them to a point where, you know, you have a strong team, and you've clearly, you know, done an amazing job of that.
Thank you.
Do you read a ton of books? Like, are you very...
I try. I very much try to read a lot of books as much as I can. A big one that I really like reading, my biggest three, I would say, would be, you know, the 5 levels of leadership, as we just talked about. The second one would be Sell or Be Sold. And the third would be Wired That Way. Those 3 books are phenomenal when it comes to people building, because we are in a people's business. And because we work with people every single day, the best thing you could do for yourself is educate yourself on people.
So that's awesome. I love it. So Luna, you're a success story. You haven't even been in business for a year. I want to know, what is the biggest, most significant challenge that you've had?
I think before, my biggest challenge was seeking everyone's approval. That was my biggest challenge. I think I was seeking my dad's approval because I wanted him to accept that I wanted to do this. I wanted to seek Van's approval because he was the one that taught me everything. And I just want to make him proud, right? Like, you know, and then the third would probably be, I think, because I'm seeking all of this approval, and then just approval as to being a good captain now more than ever. So being a good captain, being a good leader, but being a good business owner, right? All of these things, I just want to make people proud. And that's the biggest thing that I was struggling with. But then now, as I like really understand, it's really not about people's approval. It's really about if you feel fulfilled yourself and giving yourself grace. Because I know that a lot of people give themselves so much anxiety and put so much pressure on themselves. And I think right now it's leveling off the pressure. I just think it's really just going back to the basics and taking one day at a time. Because when you understand that one day at a time goes along, it really just makes a year. Because every single day becomes a month, and then a week, and then a year, and such forth. So that was a little backwards, but yeah. But I definitely think that, you know, the biggest challenge I would say is just letting go of that anxiety and the seeking approval. I think it's just, I've been so gravitating towards seeking approval that it puts so much pressure on me, and then it boggles up your mind,
spiral.
And it does go on a downward spiral, and it's just like, it's just acceptance now at this point, and really just accepting what you're good at, but then really obviously always like looking at what can be better constantly.
I love that. Like you said, taking it one day at a time.
One day at a time.
The last question I have for you, Luna. I am sure there are a lot of people in this industry that would love to have the trajectory that you're on. What would be your one piece of advice that you can share with an inspiring entrepreneur on how to gain traction quickly in their business?
I think the biggest thing, as I've said throughout my whole entire journey, from people who ask me like, hey, Luna, how did you do it so fast? How did you do it? Everybody wants to know how I did it, but it really is going back to the basics. And the one thing I can really account for is systems. When there are already systems in place, you want to use the systems as like a bylaw, right? If systems become law, you shouldn't break the law, right? So it's just like, I treat the systems that I've been taught religiously every single day. And so because of that, I make sure, you know, my business is afloat. Going back to the basics is very important. And once you go back to the basics, you can't falter, because everything else is just yourself, right? So I think having a guideline is very important. Structure, very important, but that goes again back to the principle of organization.
That makes sense. So if you had to think back to when you were a teacher's assistant, how long do you think it would have taken you to have almost $100,000 saved in your bank account?
I'd probably be 50, 60 by now.
Are you happy you switched careers a little bit?
Absolutely. I think I am so incredibly indebted to this this career path that I've chosen for myself. I just think that, you know, I sometimes don't give myself grace, and I really don't. I'm going to be honest. I am very I'm a yes woman, really. You tell me what to do and I'll do it, and I will do it to my best ability. And I won't ask questions, but I should ask questions more, but, you know, when I know the reason behind it, I will do it successfully as much as I can, right? But I just think that, you know, if I stayed in a very like 9-to-5 mindset, or if I was an employee, I just think I would never be fulfilled. There was multiple times where my parents actually applied to different jobs for me. And because of that, I almost left. The biggest thing that I could think about was, who's gonna watch over my people? So then it made me click that I was like, I have to be here.
It has to be you.
It has to be me. So, and because of that, that was my propeller. That was my engine. That was my motive, right? My motive was people. And I realized that what other better industry could I be in that involves people? Their growth, their succession, but also my growth included. And because it's just win, win, win back to back, there's no other place to be than here.
Beautiful. You are such a bright woman, and you have such a great career and future ahead of you, and I can't wait to continue watching it.
Thank you. I'm so excited.
Thank you so much for sitting down with me. You're awesome. We appreciate it.
Absolutely.